In the next couple of videos, we're going to explore some specific vector fields that come up quite a bit in our studies. And today we're going to look at the radial vector field. So this vector field is given by f equals xy. So a reminder from our previous video, we're going to be inputting points. In this case, this is a vector field in R2. So we're going to put in points on the plane, and our outputs will be vectors. Where the way that we're going to draw the vectors is the tail of each vector will be positioned at the point. So one way to do a systematic graph of our vector fields is to try to plot points first along the coordinate axes to get a sense of what happens, because those are the easier points to plot in where one of the components is 0. So we're going to start by plotting some points, plotting vectors along the axes. All right, so at the bottom I have a small table, and if we put in our point, the origin, right, 0, 0, we know that we're going to get, since our vector field has the same x component as x coordinate of the point and y component as y coordinate of the point, the vector in the field will be just the 0 vector. And I'm just going to draw that with a point at the origin. Now, if we put in a point, let's say a couple of points along the x-axis, so 1, 0, our vector will be the vector 1, 0. And on our graph, I'm going to go to our point 1, 0. That's where my vector begins. And the vector points to the right 1 unit, right? So we go 1 unit to the right, and there's our vector. If we pick our point, let's say 2, 0, this vector is going to start at 2, 0, and it will have components 2, 0. You can see now that the length has doubled. So when I start at the point 2, 0, we're going to draw a vector whose length has doubled. Let's put in a couple of negative points along the x-axis. So let's say negative 1, 0. Well, this is just going to be the vector negative 1, 0. And negative 2, 0 will have the vector negative 2, 0. So you get an idea of what's going on along the x-axis. Our vectors do seem to be increasing in length as we get further from the origin. All right, I'm going to erase those since I didn't give myself much room here. Well, actually, I'm just going to erase this instead. No. There we go. All right, let's put in some points along the y-axis. It's a good place to start, so we'll put in 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, negative 1, 0, negative 2, and after that, we'll just fill in each quadrant. So 0, 1, we will get the vector 0, 1, and I'm going to go ahead and plot it. At 0, 1, at this point, we're going to get the vector that looks like this. I just noticed that I made a little mistake in drawing the vectors down here. Should have started at negative 1, 0 with a length of negative 1. So let me see if I can, no, can't erase that. There we go. I'm going to erase those. Here's, I was a little bit careless there. Negative 1, we're going to have a vector of length 1 this way. At negative 2, we're going to have a vector of length 2. All right. So the same thing happens along the y-axis. When I put in the point 0, 2, our vector output is 0, 2. And when we graph it at 0, 2, we're going to get a vector of length 2. And same things happens on the negative y-axis. So that's going to be 0, negative 1, and 0, negative 2. So we have at this point a vector of length 1 that points downward, and another vector of length 2 that points downward. So there we go. That's a nice idea of what's going on along the axes. Let's get a sense of what's going on maybe with some points that are not on the axes. So I'm going to pick the point 1, 1. We know that at 1, 1, I'm not going to put these on the table, but at 1, 1, the vector will be vector of length 1, 1. So our slope is 1. So we're going to have a vector that looks like that. At the point negative 1, 1, our vector will be negative 1, 1, which means we go left one and up one. So we're going to have another vector that looks like this. And the same thing's going to happen down here and down here. And we can imagine also that, we will have vectors as we get further away. We can see that the magnitude of the vectors is getting larger. How might we verify that? Well, our vector field has magnitude square root of x squared plus y squared. So you can see that as x and y get larger, the magnitude gets larger. So the further we are from the origin, the larger the magnitudes will get. And also, you might notice that, I don't know what's happening here, you might notice that we can say, all right, let's suppose, I'm going to erase that and rewrite that a little bit. There we go. Another way to think about what's going on here with the magnitude is to specify a magnitude that you want your vector to be. Let's suppose that I would like my magnitude to be a magnitude 2. Then if I plug that in, I can get kind of the shape that our vectors will follow that will have a magnitude of 2, right? So our vectors that come out of a circle of radius of 2 will have a magnitude of 2. That might help us draw some additional vectors here. I'm not going to use that in general, but if I'm a distance of 2, you know that we're going to have a vector that's going to be length 2 here, a vector that's going to be length 2 here. And so you can see the radial shape of this vector field. So this vector field, everything's kind of flowing away from the origin. You could even imagine that the lengths of these vectors give us level curves of a paraboloid, and imagine a paraboloid that turns down and you put a little drop of water at the top of the paraboloid. It's going to flow outward away from the center or the origin. We'll talk more about that at a later time. But that gives us our radial vector field. In the next video, we're going to look at the rotational vector field and the relationship between them.